Big D Entertainment, in association with Dipsy Doodle Productions, presents The Dave Holly Hour. Brought to you by The Sky Lounge and Tea, XL Chiropractic, Quality Nails, Ale Hop Brewery Tours, and Jesse Moffat Entertainment. The Dave Holly Hour features Sioux Empire Arts and Entertainment Conversations and has been recognized by the Sioux Falls Stage Awards with a special distinction for promoting the arts. A true lover of arts, entertainment, good food, and fun times, including an occasional Jack Daniels. Okay, so a few Jack Daniels. Here he is, Dave Holly.
Welcome, everybody. It is episode number 112. We are into winter. We had a couple of nice days. Thank you, Mother Nature. But old man winter's probably going to be coming back. It might be fitting for one of the events we're going to be talking about today. Sno-Jam coming up next weekend. We're going to be discussing that along with Nathan Hults and Luke Johnson, a couple of local comics. Also on this show, Toby Kane and Brian Masek. They compiled and, collaborated on an album that was recently released called Ghost and a Guess. Interesting. Not just the title, not just the concept, the fact that the whole thing was done during COVID. They didn't see each other in a studio to perform together or anything. In fact, the only time in the collaboration of the album they finally did get to see each other was at the photo shoot. That's all ahead. But of course, you know how we start this. I was almost going to say, you know how we start this mother off. You know how we start the show.
Time to grab your favorite beverage, lift it high, and toast it to being Thursday, a.k.a. Weekend Eve.
Hey, the weekend isn't around the corner, it's here!
So long, hump day, and your frumpy way. We say hello to Thursdays with opening nights. The weekend is near, and we can see the bright lights. Yes, Thursday, you're so hearty, we can't wait for Friday, so a day early, we start the party.
All right, no matter what time of day it might be, no matter where you are, thank you for listening. But get something to toast with. And that would go back to what I just said about where you are, what time, etc. I, of course, am going to have some Jack Daniels to see if we can clear up this throat thing going on. But toast it to the city of Sioux Falls. Just announced yesterday. Officials saying the population is now over 200,000. I grew up in Rock Rapids, a hop, skip, and a jump away from here. I remember the first time thinking, how big is Sioux Falls? And I believe Dad said, about 60,000. Yeah, and I've seen it through that time frame from there up to 200,000 now. Yes, it's good for growth. It's great for the economy. It's great for a lot of reasons. But you know what else it's great for? It's great for what we talk about here each and every week. Arts and entertainment. We've already had an explosion over the last decade of everything with the availability, the different venues you can go to, the different events you can take in, the number of musicians and artists and actors and so forth that we have that are talented in this community. Not just that we have a bunch. We got a lot of people putting great stuff out there, a lot of great creative things. So the city of Sioux Falls, that I now call my home, congratulations, 200,000 plus in the population. The Weekend Eve Toast has been brought to you by Ale Hop Brewery Tours. No matter what brewery in Sioux Falls is your favorite, Ale Hop Brewery Tours lets you and your friends choose any or all of the 8 local breweries. Plus, they added Glacial Lakes Distillery if you want a little stronger spirit, if you know what I mean, which I could really use right now. Best part, they take care of the driving in a very cool van. Sits up to 6, so book your private tours online, alehopbrewerytours.com. If you're already out and about on the weekend, hop on one of their public tours. For more info on those, call 605-777-2183, 605-777-2183. A lot of people have been talking about it. One even said, I'd recommend this tour to anyone, beer lover or not. And you know what? The other thing is, like I said, Glacial Lakes Distillery, plus ask about the new Wine Wednesdays that they have. Ale Hop Brewery Tours, where micro fans meet micro brews. Honorable mention. Well, as you can tell, I've got a bit of a froggy throat. In fact, so much, though, that I can't even do my Kermit the Frog imitation. It has hampered me over the past week. Nothing serious, just good old, the wonderful head cold sinus stuff and things like that. None of the big current things that are talked about every day in the news. Okay, getting back to honorable mention, though. But because of it, I could not attend our wine bar last Saturday night, where it was a very special event. It was Al Bervin's birthday. He was celebrating for the 4th year in a row, playing on his birthday at our wine bar. So, Al, I am sorry I missed it. I hope you know that I think you are one of the great people in town, and so thankful for you. And I know your spirituality. So, belated, God bless you on your birthday, Al Bervin. Al should always get some applause. You know who else is going to get applause? The comics. Later in the show, we'll talk about Sno-Jam with Nathan Hults and Luke Johnson. But up next, making an album during COVID with Toby Kane and Brian Masek. It's coming up here on the Dave Holly Hour.
Hi, my name is Jesse Moffett, and I'm not a piano player. I'm a comic magician and hypnotist. I've been performing for over 20 years. I've performed at many events, corporate events, holiday parties, post-prom parties, graduation parties, state and county fairs, festivals, just about anything you can imagine. The funniest thing about the Magic Act is that I use a ton of audience participation, and that can make things really interesting. Put it down the front of your shirt. Stop being so my hand won't follow it. The best thing about the hypnosis show is that the volunteers and their imaginations really make it a blast.
Holy crap, dude, did you see what you just did? You could do that possibly to girls.
For booking information, go to Jesse Moffett Entertainment on Facebook. That's JESSEMOFFITT. Or call 605-929-0964.
Welcome back, everybody. Always a pleasure to have great people on the show talking about the wonderful things that are created here in the Shoe Empire. And this time around, we get back to some music truly created during a pandemic. Brian Masek, Toby Kane, Brian's first-time guest. Toby's been on before. So tell me, Toby, how did you and Brian get together and make this?
Yeah, I think we have like a couple different stories of it, because I hadn't written any music for a while, and during 2020, I wrote a song or two and emailed it to Brian. I said, "Hey, do you want to help out on this?" And then he rejected me, of course.
Well, it wasn't like that. It's just I was kind of focusing on live stuff at the moment, and when you get into a project, it can just be all encompassing. And so I was like, the songs are cool, but I'm busy kind of doing these gigs and things, and so maybe I'll play some bass parts on it, and then so that was that. And then I don't know, like a week later, the pandemic hit and kind of gigs started drying up, and it looked like we weren't going to be able to do anything for a while. And so I thought, this could actually be the thing that keeps us sane for the next year. So let's do it, and let's just go all in on it.
Yeah, and the fact is, I wanted Brian's multi-instrumental help on it. I thought he brought cool ideas to the table. I didn't know what I was going to do with it. It just was hey, will you help out on this? And he was busy with live music and so forth, and as fate would have it, that was February-ish.
Yeah, it worked out, because that was about the only thing I did musically for the year, and it was a lot of fun. And originally when we were doing it, I was thinking, okay, well, this will be okay. We'll still be able to get studio guys from air gigs, stuff online to play, and I might do some demo things, but I ended up recording. I ended up doing most of, except for the guest stuff. I did all the electric guitars and ended up doing the drums programmed, but we didn't hire that much stuff out. So it was more than I thought I'd be doing, especially the guitar stuff.
All right, the album
which made it fun.
The album is Ghost and a Guest. Where did the title come from?
I'd always been really fascinated by ghosts. Just this idea that ghosts exist and people have seen them, and various stories and tales. And then Guess was just this idea of, well, we don't know what's going to happen next, right? During 2020, every single day of news was something different. So I liked the alliteration of it and just kind of slapped some words together. It felt right to me.
We'll see if you make another album about ghosts and guests. Then you can add that we have one called Howard. Howard's a bit of a neat freak.
At your place?
At our place, yes.
No kidding. Tell me about Howard.
Send him over to our place if he's a neat freak. At least in studio.
Well, except if you pissed him off. Then he likes to take the picture frames and tilt them so that they're not straight, not square. But otherwise, when Carrie was working out at the Sheraton, she'd get home late. She'd have that, pocket full of pens. She'd throw them on her dresser. Wake up in the next morning, they are all aligned by height. The labels in the kitchen, spice rack and so forth, all straightened out neatly. That's what Howard does.
Well,
see, now you've got to start for
Howard's going to be on the next album.
Yeah.
Well, does he play guitar?
Don't know that.
I've always thought the idea of, getting a little bit deep here, but, people debate spirituality, they debate God, they debate what method of God you should follow or what method of, the afterlife you should follow. But most everyone has seen or had some experience with a ghost of some kind, right? And so I was just kind of following down that road, but I didn't put a ton of thought into it, but a theme kind of emerged, I guess, a little bit.
There was a theme, and it was interesting. I think at our last interview that I think we both thought it was completely different themes, which I think is kind of funny too, because I don't know. It was like CBS Sunday Morning was interviewing somebody, and I don't remember exactly who it was, but they said that they didn't, and it might have been something else, but they asked like, what does this song mean? And I don't remember if it was Bruce or Springsteen or somebody like that, but he basically says, I don't want to tell you, and I'll wreck it for you if I tell it, because it might mean something to you, right? And I want you to be able to connect to that. But I know what the theme was that I was working for the whole thing, and it does that. And then at one point in time, you kind of said something else, and then even when you said the ghost and the guest, I was like, I kind of don't get that. So anyway, that's
so what is your idea of the theme?
I don't know if I want to say that. I don't want to wreck it.
But ruin it for me.
No, but
I might have my own. Right?
Say it.
It's okay. You said early on your song. I mean, this is Toby we're talking about here. So there's relationships involved, and it was about the idea of breaking up with like maybe a girl or a city, or even if you like didn't live in Sioux Falls, like as a reference, and you drove by it. The way the interstate is you kind of have to drive in off the interstate to see the city, and if you just drove past it, you wouldn't know anything about what it was. Just some kind of thoughts like that about it. So,
yeah, I think for me it was 2020. We broke up with a lot of things, right? I mean, maybe we broke up with a relationship, maybe we broke up with the news for a while, maybe we broke up with
commuting,
going to work at the office, maybe we broke up with reality in some cases. So I think it is a breakup album, but not necessarily about a woman. It's a breakup album about things that you held dear the year before and now just aren't here anymore. Now, nobody likely really cares that much about that, but we wanted to make that sound catchy and fun.
How many tracks are on it?
It's like 13, I think.
13, yeah.
And some of them are interludes, which are just a little bit short vignettes. That were anything from guitar and vocals to the more elaborate, because some of them are more elaborate, but
yeah, sometimes it was just like we'd record these little things that I thought were like palate cleansers that just kind of came to me, but didn't feel like a full song.
Like getting the sorbet between courses, huh?
Right, just like intermission, if you will. To like, okay, now something else is coming at you, and that was fun to me because I wasn't feeling like everything had to be exactly a 3.5 minute perfect pop song.
Right. What do you consider it to be then, if they're not 3.5 minute pop songs? What did you put a title on it?
or is it just kind of an indie project?
With the interludes, you called them interludes.
No, the whole project as one. Then
I mean, it's still an album because I was going to call it a CD, and it's like
what are those?
Casserole, hot dish. I don't know.
And I think Brian and I are both from an era where we really appreciate listening to something from start to finish. Of course, that is not how music is consumed these days. So even the idea of creating an album from start to finish, in some sense, it sounds a little silly, but I think to both of us, it was important to have like an ebb and flow from the beginning and end to it to tell a full story.
And it is a story, and it's a concept, and it ties it all together at the very end of it and makes some sense of it if you listen to the whole thing. And for those worrying, it's only like 43 minutes long, the whole thing. So it's not like a jazz album with 13 songs where you're committed for the next week and a half.
Right. It hopefully shouldn't bore you.
Okay. All right. So 43 minutes. Where can we find this 43 minutes?
So if you go to ghostandaguess.com, that will link you to a download where you can get it. It's also on all the music platforms, all the above. We'd love to have you buy it, of course, but you can stream it as well, and even YouTube and so forth. So if you use all the regular channels.
And I know Bandcamp is pretty easy. That's the link I send out to a lot of people.
Use that, yeah.
But it's it's everywhere. But there's a lot of I don't know what the way to put it is, but if you download the whole thing or get it on the platforms where you're streaming the entire album, there was a lot of thought given to the segues between songs.
Yeah, in our perfect world, we'd like you to listen to it start to finish because that's how we created it. And that's a very 70s rock way of thinking, going back to Pink Floyd, Rolling Stones, these bands, they want you to listen to something start to finish. Now, back then, you had to get up and flip the record over.
That's true. The old 33 and a third.
Yes. So there was a lot of intention put in. There was a lot of heart put into it. And the cool thing is that I think conceptually I had an idea that I was just following, but Brian added the mechanics to it and pushed back a lot when I had an idea, and he said, no, that doesn't work. Or
well, it wasn't more that things didn't work. It was just sometimes, I mean, I guess, there was things that didn't work. There were just, for me, there was sections of the songs where I'd listen. I tried to make them so that you wouldn't give up on it. Because for me, if I'm listening to something and it's just the same thing over and over, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I've heard a chorus. I've heard a verse. That's pretty cool. But I try to make it so something interesting would happen, like before you'd get to that point, something unexpected. And so I know there was a lot of the songs where I'd kind of be listening to them and I'd get to a certain spot and go, oh, okay, that spot again. And I would fast forward it to the next thing, or we get to the end of the song going, oh, that ending isn't any good. So, and there was a lot of times when I went in and just literally took the cursor over all the tracks except for Toby's vocal and click track and deleted everything and just started thinking, tried to be totally out of the box. There was the Even Mexico song, which had nothing ethnic in it whatsoever. And it had, I don't know, there's almost kind of an Asian ethnic thing you had originally, which to me, so it just kind of had this intro. I was just thinking, what could we do to make this more fun? And how could we play off that? So,
and I think we deliberately made a choice together, let's throw some Easter eggs in here.
Yeah.
Let's do something throwback in the middle of a song. Let's do something weird or unexpected in the song. And Brian was very creative in that role.
All right. So what's it like when somebody does that to a song that you've written?
9 times out of 10, it's pretty cool.
Okay. Because somebody else has a vision for those words then.
Yeah, you try to have a very loose grip on your idea when you collaborate with someone else. You have a loose grip on it. I mean, there are some things that you own and maybe you fight for no matter what. But when you email someone, which is all we were doing back then, it's like, what do you think of this? You welcome that collaboration, and if you're not welcoming it, you shouldn't be collaborating. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, because I remember when we started this, we kind of made a little bit of a pact to say, hey, let's push ourselves and let's not just go through the motions, because we were in a band together forever and we did stuff, and it was a lot of fun, but that was the thing that we did. And so the very first song we did was Do You Dance, and I made it sound exactly like something we would have done with the last band. And I got done and I was like, oh, that's just exactly what I said I wasn't going to do. But you know, I guess it's just one song, so we'll leave it on there. And then you kind of called me out on it. And the more I thought about it, I was like, yeah, let's stick to what we said we were going to do. And then you eventually, I think, kind of wanted to bag it. And then you came back with some different ideas. And I listened to it and I was like, oh, wait, well, no, that's a really good idea. So then I slowed it down, did the guitar part. So there was this back and forth thingy, and that made it pretty cool. And then I got to the intro, and then you got Noah to play the harmonica part, who's just a stellar musician.
He's a stud, isn't he?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. He sent me the tracks, and I had him on my phone. I hadn't even put him in the track yet. It was just his part, and I started pulling him up, listening to him. And I'm like, well, I was showing my wife, you got to listen to this. It's just harmonica, but just wait till you hear this in the track. And then I went home and put it in, and I was just like, wow.
I also think, getting back to like a theme of why you make something, that song was one of the first ones we did. And it was like a thesis statement, and it also reflected how I was thinking about 2020. Do you dance or do you drive? You know, are you going to be a change agent, or are you going to just kind of float along? And we've seen that in our politics, in our city, in our friends, and, you know, all the debates and things that no one really wants to talk about. But it was sort of a stake in the ground. It was like, you know, what are you made of?
Was there a point where you two were actually together in creating this album?
When we did the photo shoot at the end, I think that was it. We met once in person, but not for. I was because I played with Corey and the Fireflies, and we did an outdoor gig out on a rooftop, and everybody was, you know, quarantined, and Toby and I met there. But I think that was the only time we ever were in person, other than the very beginning.
Yeah, we sat outside one time and just talked about things. I think we both had had our indoor tans and hadn't been anywhere, you know, near other humans for a while. So even that part is just kind of awkward. But the photo shoot was really probably the first time we spent a substantial time together.
Yeah.
So collaboration is unique in it of itself. But obviously it has to be multiplied then when it comes to doing so in a pandemic, never being together, and just bit by bit to make it into this 43-minute album.
You know, but there's a lot, especially with the internet right now, where people are doing stuff online. Like I was doing, there's a service called Air Gigs, and, you know, all the musicians know about it, but it's basically online musicians, but it's at, you know, kind of different levels. You know, you're not getting that A-list, you're not having to pay for the A-list New York guy, but you can still get good people. So I wasn't doing anything. So I created a profile out there and ended up recording bass on a lot of people's albums. And most of the other parts on them were things done from other people. I mean, like the drummer was another drummer from that. And then I ended up using, on our album, I used, needed some aux percussion and wanted a human to play that, and hired a guy off there to do that. So, I mean, there's a lot more of remote things coming together, or, you know, a guy or a couple guys saying, hey, here's what we want. You know, we don't have a band, but we want this kind of part to do that. So that's it. And the technology now supports it really well. I mean, as any musician knows.
Did you do all the mixing and the engineering on it then?
Yep, I did. All the mixing, engineering, mastering. I did collaborate with one other guy. I just want to call that guy out, though. Rich Rankin. He's a professional mixer out in LA, and he's worked with a lot of big names, doing a lot of live stuff. And I wanted to try to get with somebody just to throw it at him and give him like kind of a raw version of it and say, you know, show me what you would do with it, just in the idea that I could pick up some ideas from what you're doing that aren't what I would normally do. And he was great with that. I went out to LA. We spent a day in his studio. You know, he mixed it, and it was totally different than what I would have done. And it isn't the way that I would have done it. And they're not the mixes on the end, but he showed me so many things of ways of thinking that I hadn't before, that I incorporated that into what we did. So that was, I thought that was a big help.
The other part of that was just that we knew people like us were at home and needed to create, you know, so we reached out to local folks like Mike Dresch, Brian Detmers, Noah Hain, and said, hey, will you help us? Will you join us on this? And, you know, to a T, they said yes. Either, you know, we were good enough friends with them through the years, or they were quite bored. But I mean, that was really fun because they were just exceptional additions to what we were doing. And on some level, it just gave us all something creative and productive to do.
How long front to back did it take to do all this? From your conception, getting in touch with Brian, and then Brian having it mastered, and it's out there.
I think it was 2 solid years.
Yeah, see, the best thing that happens during a pandemic is that you have an album to work on. The worst thing that happens is when it's kind of, things open back up again and you kind of go back to doing some normal stuff and your album's only 2/3 done. And you're like, oh, I still have this third left to do. Oh, and I'm playing gigs again now. And we want this to be good. So, it sat, I think, for a little while, for a good part of the one summer. And it definitely was not because of lack of interest. It was just because we were kind of doing other stuff, and we're like, okay, all right. First we're like, hey, should we get it done by Memorial Day? Now should we get it done by? I think finally we agreed on Thanksgiving, or not Thanksgiving, Halloween. And I'm like, yeah, we're close enough. We'll get it done by Halloween. But it was close to 2 years. But there was a period in there once things kind of opened up where we kind of just didn't work on it.
Well, and the weird thing about any song that you listen to, it takes on an entirely different meaning a couple years later. October 19, I think, was when we first talked and started. And some of these songs, they were written long before 2020. And now I listen back and I'm like, oh, that has an entirely different meaning than what I intended.
So, Toby, what is your favorite track on the album?
Oh, gosh, that's a good question.
Because you had different ideas on the theme, so I want to get the different opinions on best track.
Man, you're asking me to name a favorite child. I know. I really there's a tune on there called The Fine Tuning, which I'm really happy with because it's sort of stream of consciousness lyrics, and it's very different. It's electronic, and just quite different than anything else I've ever done. So when I listen to that, that's the one that I guess I gravitate to a lot.
Let's go on. I like that one too. It was a lot of fun to do because that was the one that just started out with the keyboard part and added some things to it and kind of went in a direction that we don't normally go. And I used my Hofner Beatle bass and was kind of trying to make these Lou Reed sounding parts and things that weren't normal. And then at the middle of the night once I was like, what's this reverse song? Oh, that's the intro to Space Hog. In the meantime, we got to have that there. And couldn't do that. I had to figure out how to replicate it, that intro.
It was just very electronic. And originally when I sent it to him, I used an app on my phone for it. And it was kind of almost spoken word, halfway sung. And I thought, well, that's a little bit weird. So
how much of this was iPhone to iPhone and email to email in the beginning, and then at the end, how much did it, grow in what needed to be done and how files were sent and all that?
Well, there was definitely a process with it, and the way the process is that Toby would come up with some, it was normally acoustic and vocals. Sometimes it was keyboard and vocals. Sometimes there was maybe one other thing on it, but it was a rough thing, not to any tempo that he just captured on, I don't know if it was GarageBand or your phone, lo-fi. So that basically we would get it and go, oh, okay, all right. And then since we did everything in Pro Tools, I did my stuff in Pro Tools, but I wanted to do it. I knew I was going to do it to a click because I was going to be programming the percussion stuff and the drums, and so I was going to want that to be. So we would get agree on a tempo for it, and then I would send a click track back to Toby that he would put into GarageBand, and he would record his stuff, and at that point, then everything we were sending back and forth would line up.
Well, and that was just the exchange of ideas, right? That was like, hey, do you like this enough for me to continue working on it? When he got serious about it, and playing on a track or something, then I'd get emails back from Brian like, I hear birds outside your apartment right now. Or I'd have to pick my times to record vocals because I knew the dog upstairs, woke
was
up.
Hungry?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so we'd have to pick those times, which was kind of fun, actually.
And you did a great job recording your stuff too, because Toby, I've got a Pro Tools studio with, it was all mixed with Universal Audio plugins. It's a pretty nice setup. You have one mic, and I don't know if it's a laptop or an iPad and a converter, but and they're good. You did an amazing job. I can't imagine collaborating with somebody else. No offense, especially a singer, but
use that term very loosely.
That could say, hey, you're going to record all your own parts, and we're trying to make a really high audio quality album here, and your vocals sounded great, your acoustic sounded great. I think I gave you feedback one time, said maybe where are you putting the mic? Well, maybe put it here, but it was everything was You know, I was never like, oh wow, this is a bummer that the recording quality is so bad because the guy did it himself. No, you did great.
Part of that was just time. You had time to try different things. Like you'd throw them in the closet where the clothes were, or you'd go online and say, oh, what's a really good sound shield besides this blanket that I'm hanging over my door?
So quite a process to get it to completion. It's out there now. What's been the response to it?
I mean, it's been positive. Like, what was the first blog guy who you could tell he listened to the whole thing and he got it. That was it for me.
Yeah, Sam Lenz, who's a local blogger and artist and a friend of ours, did a write up for us and just really dove into it, and did a really great job on it. I think he's at thesamlenz.com. You should check out his stuff. And then we've also gotten like just some other, national reviews and publicity and so forth. And the thing with regards to albums is if you download, a handful of them, you've succeeded right now.
True.
Because we're not really competing with album sales anymore. We're competing with TikTok views, right?
Very true.
So I'm going to bust.
Grandpa Dave has to have TikTok to be able to watch the 10-year-old, excuse me.
Exactly.
There was one thing that happened with responses though, and it had to be with you and your girlfriend at the time. Just we were writing the song. It was the end of Omaha. It's got a sad ending, like especially if you listen to the words. And I got done with this, like, oh my god, this is actually I bet this could actually make somebody cry. And then I sent it to Toby, and the next day he's like, man, you made my girlfriend cry. And I was like, yeah.
And then I think he said, you should have recorded that. You should have recorded that. We'd mix it in there.
No, I didn't think about that. It could be interesting, but I was like, good, because that was a thing. Like I felt like we were trying to convey, and then I felt like we did, and then. I was like hoping somebody would have that reaction. Not that I want to make anybody sad, but
So now that we're back to playing live gigs, Toby, are we going to hear some of this when you're playing solo, or are we going to have more collaborations, or are we going to have both of you playing live together? What's going on?
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of questions.
It is. The answer is possibly, maybe.
You played some of Omaha. You were playing solo before we did it, but this is a new version of it, basically.
Yeah, my intention is to play some here and there. It's one of the impetuses of originally getting Brian involved was I broke my finger, or
it was broken,
severely injured my finger, and so my limitations as a player, I wanted to still make things, but I needed help. That's much better now. So I'm in the process of just rehabbing that and getting dexterity back.
He doesn't need me anymore. His finger's better.
I always needed Brian.
I didn't know about the broken finger thing until just now. I knew about it, but right there. That's all good.
No, I always needed Brian, but we'll see. I'd like to play a little bit more, and hopefully, we're going to be in a position where there is the amount of music that maybe we saw 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Seemed like it was coming back in the past year until we hit this latest Omicron or Omicron or whatever pronunciation it is this week.
Yeah, and just the kind of stuff we did, because we were in a pop band before, the Toby Kane band, and we played lots of stuff. But just the kind of stuff that we played wasn't, that kind of stuff isn't really happening now, or it's a lot younger crowd than we are. So it just, as a player, I just kind of roll with it because I like to play a lot of different things. Jazz, hard rock. Sub with the symphony sometime on their shows where they need electric and stuff we do. So it just kind of like more if the right opportunity came along where it would make sense to do it. I'd be for it, and then we could find good, enough good people to do it. But put too many Easter eggs in, it's going to be too hard to play. That's the only problem. We were wondering an interview, and the guy wanted. Remember when Dan Santello from Kello wanted us to play it? I'm like, we've never played these songs.
I don't know how to do that.
Like I did these. I did this flamenco stuff, and the same thing I did these funk parts in the middle of one of the songs that I was. I'm not primarily a guitar player, so I literally had to do. I wanted to do this flamenco breakdown in the middle of the even Mexico. And so I was like, okay, all right. So like I was Googling like flamenco guitar lesson, and there was a couple of them out there. And like, oh yeah, that'll work. I'm just going to change the key and rework it. I have no idea how to go back and play that. I have to go redo the lesson.
I will say this too with regards to that. I would love to see Sioux Falls get back to having a live band scene again. there's no question that between street performers or solo folks in the corner and all of that, we made lots of strides. But I'm not sure where to see a live band right now, with one or two exceptions or some festivals or outdoor things. And I know that's a hard road to hoe, competing with DJs and technology and all the things, but I would really love to see some club live music in Sioux Falls come back real soon.
Well, as our mutual friend Mike Hendrickson always says, live music is good for the soul.
I mean, absolutely.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Yeah, it is.
Brian, I always like to end the conversations with a couple of questions.
Sure.
First off, when you're not part of the entertainment scene, what do you like to be entertained by?
Oh, yeah. I mean, just listen to a lot of jazz. My son plays in the South Dakota Youth Orchestra, and they are an exceptionally talented group. They're actually about 3 exceptionally talented groups. So I love going to that and go to some symphony concerts. But just and then just guilty pleasures like we're from the 90s. So like when the Living Colour came here, we went down to the district and saw them. I mean, so I'm as far as playing, like I pretty much enjoy playing anything, and I'm probably pickier with what I like to listen to, and it's probably more centers around jazz. But I'll play anything.
Any other hobbies?
Hobbies? No. Trying to think. No, I used to do some.
You rollerblade a lot.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, yeah. Well, I like to travel and hike and stuff and do stuff outdoors. And yeah, I set getting my scuba certification as the goal for the end of the pandemic. So I got that down in Florida and then did it deep water.
Did you have to swim 6 feet away?
6 feet away?
Yeah, from other people.
Oh no. And it was salt water. We there was a mask mandate on the boat, but we were like, there's no way COVID can survive in salt water. And if you've been in it, you know what I'm talking about.
All right, Toby. When you're not entertaining, what do you like to be entertained by?
Well, I love to go see music. I love to see it when I can. This last year actually afforded me that opportunity again. I have some tickets for the following year that have been postponed 2, 3, 4 times. So hopefully I get to do that. I've been quite a poetry reader lately, getting back into reading a lot of poetry because I just like the rhyme and verse of how people put together words. And if I find a good one, I'm going to try to take up alto sax this next year, alto or bari sax.
Really?
Yeah.
You keep expanding. I think the last time you were just starting in on drums.
Yeah, and I have been playing the drums a lot, but my goal is to be mediocre at all instruments. Yes.
Maybe that'll be the next album title, Mediocrity in All Instruments.
Let's workshop that a little bit.
How about other hobbies?
Well, I like to get out and hike too, and especially during 2020, that was my outlet. Was like I didn't care if there was a slab on the ground. I was going to hike down, 41st Street if it meant anything.
Yeah.
So certainly getting outdoors is a great thing.
All right. So again, it is Ghost and Guest, and it is available basically wherever you want to download your music, and also a website as well, is there?
Yep, it's just ghostandaguess.com.
All right, fantastic. So do that. All your own stuff. So the copyright thing, do I have your express permission that if I'd like to play one on the podcast, I can do so?
We would welcome that.
Yeah, we'd love
All
that.
right.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we're going to charge you 0.0003 cents.
That's more
per
than
spin.
we get from Spotify.
I'll double it.
Okay,
All
fair
right.
enough.
Right on.
Brian Masek, Toby Kane, thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
And we'll be
Dave.
back with more of the Dave Holly Hour in just a moment.
Dr. Perry Langston and Dr. Corey Tooney know excellence is in you. That's why they provide you with excellent care at XO Chiropractic, improving your overall health in spirit, body, mind, and will. Get results the natural way. Arrange a consultation, 605-332-9235 or exochiros.com. Excellent care for excellent people. XO Chiropractic, located at 4309 South Racket Drive in Sioux Falls.
Sure, they have darts, and you've heard me talk about how ruggedly handsome the trivia host is, but all caps fun never stops at the Sky Lounge and Tea. And fun is best had with your friends enjoying live entertainment, as in live and local. Yeah, the Sky Lounge believes in giving you the best bands, solo artists, and comedians from the area. The Neo Johnsons, Elizabeth Hunstead, Skylar Volks, as well as many others. and a great staff will make sure you enjoy your fun at the Sky Lounge in Tea, South Dakota.
He's never met a meal he didn't like. Once again, here is Dave Holly.
Welcome back, everybody. I tell you, we've had a lot of the new guests of late, but these gentlemen have been on a few times apiece, and it's fun because they're funny, because they're comics, and they're putting on a festival coming up next weekend. So we wanted to make sure that we got this out a week early so you could plan all the time that you're going to spend in several venues listening, watching comics, not just local ones, but from across the nation.
Yeah.
Nathan Hults, Luke Johnson, how are you guys?
Doing well. How are you?
Doing well also, thank you.
I'm better than a turd in the sun. You know what I mean?
Really?
I would hope so.
Just slightly.
A turd in the sun. The imagination's going now. And I'm thinking, is there going to be a full bit that you'll do on a turd in the sun?
Wasn't that a hit for the Violent Femmes?
I remember saying that at work one day. Someone's like, "How are you doing?" And I was just sick of saying "good." So I was just like, "Well, better than a cat turd in the sun."
Oh, cat turd in the sun.
I didn't say cat turd this time, but that's what that's the
reference. Okay.
And my boss just went to the back. He's like, I don't think it's not okay. Like, I'm sure you're okay saying that.
And he's starting to look through the HR manual.
Yeah, he's like, I just
turd.
don't.
Is turd on that list?
It's not wrong, but it doesn't feel right.
You can, maybe don't.
Right. See, one of my favorites has always been, if you're feeling low,
yeah,
lower than whale dung on the ocean floor.
Yeah, absolutely.
You got to go down quite a ways for that one.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. All right. Sno-Jam coming up next weekend.
So exciting.
Actually, how many days? 4 days?
4 days.
Yeah.
We've expanded the festival this year.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
19th through the 22nd. So we're super excited because the 19th is our festival kickoff, and we generally haven't done anything special for that. We just basically hung out.
Mm-hmm.
But this year, we took a shot at a couple comedians and got them all.
Yeah.
And so we just couldn't say no after we got yeses, So
Mm-hmm.
we are having Mary Mack from Solar Opposites, Last Comic Standing, Conan, and we're having Tim Harmson, her husband, who's also been on Comedy Central, as well as has a great dry bar special out. So they're going to be doing a show opening our festival. That's going to be the 19th Wednesday at Boss's Comedy Club at the Ramada on Russell.
Okay, still in town then.
Yeah. So all the comedy events will be in Sioux Falls. Will be hosted at either Boss's Comedy Club at the Ramada on Russell or at Remedy Brewing on 8th and Railroad.
Okay, and then there's also some things going on out at Spellbound Magic as well. Correct?
Yeah, so we're doing our open mic. So if you want to get in on the action, you can go up. You can tell jokes in front of people, and it's going to be great, right? So Spellbound Magic, that's what day is that?
I believe that is Saturday.
Yeah, and then we've got some really great seminars and
workshops and so forth. Yeah.
So if you go to snowjamcomedyfestival.com, the snow without a W. And you will, you can see the whole event, and you can get tickets there too. So it's nice.
Yes, in fact, you can get a VIP pass.
VIP,
$75 is all.
That's a bargain at twice the price.
It really is.
Yeah, absolutely. And then to close,
which is why I
festival,
bought mine already.
Oh, good.
Yeah, Dave Holly out here peacocking. Absolutely.
That's right. And to close the festival, we've got Dennis Regan, one of the top clean comics in the country.
Yeah, in the world.
Coming in to close the festival. So we're really excited about that, too. That will also be at Boss's Comedy Club.
He's been on pretty much every television network for years.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we ran out of space on the internet to list the amount of credits this guy has. He's been around for a long time. He's very funny. You might know him as Brian Regan's brother, but Brian Regan says in his act, my brother's funnier than I am. So.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we got a lot of great comics coming to town, but we also have great local comics.
Yes.
That will also be showcased in this, correct?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
It's a South Dakota festival. What would that be without some South Dakota comics?
Oh, yeah.
A non-South Dakota festival?
Yeah, be a shame is what it would be.
Exactly. But no, we're really excited to give this opportunity to some of the up-and-coming comics, to a couple who have been around for a while, a good mix of performers here in the local scene. And we've also got Tyler Corbijn coming in from Rapid City as well. So it's an entire state representation.
Excellent. We look forward to that. Plus, it's a benefit, too.
Yes.
Yeah, every all the net proceeds raised go to the Special Olympics of South Dakota. Right, so literally at the end of the festival, we write a check for what we made, and give it to the Special Olympics.
That's fantastic.
No one gets paid. It's
great organization.
Yeah,
that's for sure. What started Sno-Jam? First of all, how many years is this now?
This is the sixth annual Sno-Jam.
Wow.
Yeah, last year we did digitally,
right?
Social distance and stuff, and we are encouraging guests to be vaccinated and wear a mask when applicable. When you're not drinking or eating, So just try to be safe. It's tough out there right now, and so if we can keep everybody safe and have a fun festival, let's do it. So
yeah, I applaud you, my friend. You said applicable. Thank you. I'm so old I know when it was pronounced that way.
Yeah.
Instead of this applicable.
Is it a tomato situation?
I think so.
That's absurd.
I know.
Right? I mean, you say potato, I say applicable.
You apply something.
Yeah.
Applicable.
Yeah.
Usage is king.
9/10 of the law, right? Yeah. Something along that line. What are you guys looking forward to most in this?
Aside from the obvious, the big headliners to open and close the show, I love meeting the new comics, getting to hear acts that I haven't heard before, and I'm on a personal note very excited to be bringing back my comedy game show, Vocabularious.
That's right. That is part of this.
Yep, which we ran for the last two festivals, live in 2020 and then virtually in 2021. But it's always been a great time, and I'm really excited to run this with new performers.
What is Vocabularious?
Oh, Luke, I'm happy to explain. It's
thanks for doing my job.
It's a show where I ask questions and then the comedians give funny answers instead of real ones.
So you'd say it's like Jeopardy without the pretense of being right.
Right. I mean, yeah, I like to think of it as the fun part of Hollywood Squares.
Okay.
Where, the squares would give their joke answer and everyone has a great time, and then they give the real one. That part's boring. We just want the joke answers.
Yeah.
Still my favorite would have been the Paul Lind answer.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm unfamiliar.
Oh, he was asked, the question was, Paul, do you smoke after sex? And that laugh is, I don't know. I've never looked.
That's very good.
Gotta love classics like that.
I highly recommend looking up Paul Lind's Hollywood Squares answers. They are magical.
Incredible, no doubt about that. Besides Vocabularious, are we also not going to have That's Debatable?
Yes.
That's debatable. Yep. So that's the cool thing about our festival is we don't just do stand-up comedy. We do a lot of things where we try to get comedians a little outside their comfort zone and allow them to really be themselves, right? I mean, I'm a joke writer, right? We write jokes and perform. That's fun. But it's almost sometimes more fun to get a special moment out of somebody who's already funny, right? So we do 3 shows where we do stand-up comedy, just basic stand-up, and then we also do 3 theme shows. And these shows are just putting funny people in different situations to be funny. That's a little less structure, a little less plain Jane as a stand-up comedy show. So that's one thing that's neat about our festival is you get to kind of see some of the play that happens within comics.
Well, I am definitely going to be attending a lot of things. There's also a lot I can't attend because of some other commitments and so forth. But then there's also what I'm kind of doubling up on. I've actually taken Dan Bublitz's electronic press kit.
Yeah.
I did that online a year ago. But he's also going to be doing that again this year as part of it on a Friday.
Yeah.
Correct? Yeah. And so I'm going to take that in, even though I've already seen it because such value.
Oh, absolutely.
And, and here's something, it even ties into comedy in a great way, because some people will say, hey, I don't know if I'm going to do that joke anymore because it didn't go that well. Might have a different audience next time. So that's the way I'm looking at this is that yeah, I learned a lot the first time online, but I also want to take it in person.
Yeah.
And I'm probably going to get 2 or 3 more nuggets.
Right.
Yeah,
And be able to use that.
Well, not to mention, like, anytime now that you've done the work that you initially did, now you can have better questions for that
True.
work, right? So, like, you have a little bit more experience in that actual, class. It's almost like, auditing a class and then taking the class.
Yeah.
It's kind of a nice little bonus. Yeah, I'm super excited. That's a great course, and something that, as a person that used to book a lot, comics need.
Yeah.
And people need, right? Just like, especially if you're doing like things for yourself, if you're working for yourself or you're trying to do anything creatively or anything like that, people want to be able to have access to your work and promote you. You want to be able to promote yourself. And that's what an electronic press kit does. It gives you all of your things. It's like in college, in art, you build a portfolio. Right? This is our professional portfolio that we can access and send out to people who want to hire us, pay us, love us, all that kind of stuff, right? Yeah, I'm sure it helps you with your Tinder profile too. I'm sure.
And it's going to be interesting to see like, if more of the veteran comics who are coming in for the festival attend this, to see not just what they can pick up from it, but also what they can add.
Yeah.
Because they're all going to have their own experiences. They're going to have, the things that they've worked out for themselves, and they'll have extra suggestions that maybe that we can all adopt and that maybe Dan can incorporate in future presentations.
Let's kind of tie that in with what you had said earlier, Luke, about, one of the things you're looking forward to is seeing all the other comics is, that's also an opportunity for you guys as seasoned comics to pick up new things too.
Yeah.
Not stealing material, but just, a way a particular joke was told, body language, variety of things.
You got to study the art, right?
Yeah.
You think Mozart didn't hear any other music besides his own? I don't think that's the case, right?
No. Yeah. I'm sure that he was going, let me take that riff.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know if they called him a riff back then yet.
I'm sure they did.
Yeah. Music is the universal language, right? So that makes sense.
I thought laughter was.
Sure.
I think it's Esperanto.
All right. So, Luke, let me point to the right person.
I don't know. This is audio.
Well, he doesn't look the same as usual. So, Luke.
Yes.
What got you into comedy and made you then get to this point of organizing and being part of a festival?
All right, well, I mean, comedy is always something I had enjoyed from watching it on TV, listening to the Dr. Demento radio show, which had a lot of funny songs on it. That was a huge influence on me. And then picking up stuff from Comedy Central, finding new artists that way. I didn't really get into comedy until I moved to Sioux Falls in 2015. And then shortly thereafter, one of my friends on Facebook mentioned there was a comedy open mic. It's like, ooh, I'd like to check that out. I tried it a few times before, but never seriously because there was no comedy scene in Vermilion. And so I came to Rookies, which was the club at the time, and I met Nate and a lot of the other local comics, many of whom are still around, and was amazed at I wasn't expecting much because I've learned not to, but they were amazing. Like, I was just blown away by how good they were. And then I slowly worked my way up to their level, and that was very exciting. And then I think it was in year 2 of Sno-Jam, I told Nate, anything I can do to help the festival, let me know. And he said, great, you're a producer.
Take it over. Yeah.
Yeah, no, we're this year's actually really, really exciting too, because this is our first year where we as Sno-Jam Comedy Festival are actually our own nonprofit, right? So we branched. Before we were kind of using Special Olympics as, kind of the host of whatever, but this year we're able to do a lot more and raise more because of our own nonprofit status, right? And so we had to bring on some extra board members, and they have been absolutely fantastic in helping this year go through. This is our biggest year because of all our new board members and stuff like that. So this is just a very exciting year.
What excites you about comedy at this point in your career, Nate?
Finding something new. Anytime I can, I've been doing this almost 11, 12 years. Anytime you can find something new in the world, it's fun. I just found The other night, I was asked to do a corporate gig at 10 a.m. because another person had canceled right that morning, and this was so much fun, and I found a new way to play in that. So that's what gets me back on stage, is the excitement of maybe finding something new, something exciting in maybe the old.
All right, so we've got a lot of local people that are involved. You've got local board members. The word is out there that Sno-Jam is coming along, and it's going to be big. Bigger than it has been.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You've got the different venues that are involved. Is this primarily just for somebody that is already coming to comedy in Sioux Falls?
No.
Or are you looking to grab that new person, maybe somebody that just moved to town, grabbing everybody from around the region?
If you have ever laughed at a skit that you saw on TikTok or a YouTube video, or if your friend gave you a George Carlin album, if you appreciate in comedy in any way, this is a super fun event, right? You have a lot of different ways to experience it. You get to see a wider range. I mean, I wasn't part of the selection committee this year, but I got to see a couple of them, and there is not a single comic that is cookie cutter, right? They are all different and unique in voices. So you get to see just the wide array of things that are out there. So it's really a fantastic festival because you're bringing 30 comics from all over the country.
Yeah,
33 actually.
Yeah,
and so it's truly just an amazing event because you get to appreciate this art form, right? This kind of shows that it's an art form. Yeah, we're telling jokes, but it's special.
Mm-hmm.
And it's for a good cause.
True,
right?
Yeah.
If you've ever felt guilty about spending money on a show or for something for yourself, instead of donating to one of these great causes, guess what? You get both. You get A and B, right?
Yeah,
perfect. It'll be a great. I was about to say a great night, but it's going to be a great.
It's going to be 4 great nights.
4 great nights, no doubt about that. Luke, as Nate was mentioning, 33 different comics from around the country.
Yes.
How many different things are going to be seeing with all the showcases and so forth? How many acts throughout the whole time frame will we be able to take in?
Roughly 33.
Yeah. That's
okay. Just one per.
Yeah.
Well,
so
yeah.
There's like each show is going to have 8 or 10 comics on it, right? Except for the big events where we're talking about Dennis Regan or Mary Mack and Tim Harrison. Those are going to be special bookend shows. But for the most part, you're going to see a bunch of comics going up doing shorter time, but you can get through them real quick, right?
Right.
And they're going to be showcased. People are bringing their best stuff. They're wanting to impress Sioux Falls. So
Yeah. So in some ways it'll seem like an open mic, but there's different because it's already tested material.
Yeah. It's going to feel like a do you remember Premium Blend?
Yes.
It's going to feel like Premium Blend.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be like Comedy Central's Premium Blend or any of the other stand-up shows that you see, right? It's going to be an hour of late night comedy sets.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's going to be comics that you will hear of. I mean, we've had comics that have gone on to write for Jon Stewart, been on a bunch of other shows and television late night sets, all that kind of stuff from our festival. I mean, they didn't get it because of our festival, but they got it because they work hard. They're very funny, but that's why they got into our festival.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't just get in. You have to be selected, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
And Nate, tell us a little bit. Boy, I'm mixed up, cross-eyed tonight. Luke, tell us how that process works of determining who's actually going to be in the Sno-Jam.
Right. We spend several months out of the year, soliciting submissions, and people send in their submission videos and all their application stuff. And then the committee watches the videos and we say yes or no. And then we need to incorporate tiebreakers and things. This year we had something like 237 videos to watch, which is far more than we've ever had before.
Yeah.
And we had so many people that we all liked that we had to call in additional more board members to be tiebreakers because there were so many good comics. We could have easily filled an entire second festival with all the great people who applied to our fest. And
still been mad at the people that got cut.
Yep. Oh yeah, absolutely.
It was. I've said this many years in the past, and this year too. It's hard. I don't know if I'd get into my own festival. It is a tough field. So we appreciate everybody that submitted. And if you didn't get in this year, no hard feelings. We're going to get you another time.
Yeah.
No.
What is it like for comics to get into a festival? What's that feeling like when you get into that first one?
Well, I can speak from experience because I was selected for the first Sno-Jam before as a producer, and it was so exciting because it's a sense of validation. Like, they watched all these videos, they saw all these comics, and they thought you were one of the best ones. And that's just incredible. And that can fuel you to keep going even when you've had rough shows. Like, well, at least I can hang my hat on this. There is something here. I'm not just total garbage. And then you get to your first time really meeting a bunch of other comedians, people who from like major cities who've been doing this for years, or other people who are just starting out. You get to just have a lot of interesting conversations, meet a lot of really cool people, make some good friends, and watch and perform some great comedy.
How does this festival compare to others of the same size of a city and so forth?
What's interesting about our festival is it's not like a lot of the other ones. A lot of the other festivals are competitions, right? Where comics are competing to win a prize.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the other ones are showcase festivals, so you're trying to get in front of industry and stuff like that. Ours is purely a fundraising festival, right? We're here to bring some of the funniest people in the world to the best place in the world at the worst time. That's our mission. That's our mission statement, right? We want to bring comics to the best place in the world, Sioux Falls, South Dakota,
right,
at the worst time to bring people to Sioux Falls, South
January.
Dakota, right?
Yeah.
That's why it's Sno-Jam. It's a little bit of a practical joke, but our goal is to raise money for a good thing. You know, it has been the Special Olympics. It'll probably continue to be the Special Olympics, but that's always been our goal, is to do a good thing with comedy, right? And so it feels a little different than other festivals because it's more of a summer camp. We're not competing against each other. You know what I mean? There's no war games at the end of it, right? And so, you know, the guy that you probably wouldn't go have a burger with or a shake at Denny's with after a show because, you know, or he beat me and he was favored by the crowd, or, you know, stuff like that. It's just because he's, you know, because he has a bald head and everyone was bald in there. You know what I mean? Like all that stuff about that comes with competition is off of. So it's kind of like you know, like summer camp. It's winter camp for comedians. It's just a fun time to hang out.
There's no additional pressure with the competition, so people can just come in and have a good time and just focus on that.
And the whole community can have a good time.
Yes. Absolutely.
All right. So, Luke?
Yes.
I pointed in the right direction this time.
Well done.
I'll give myself an A.
So proud of you.
Tell us when it starts and where we're going to be headed.
All right. So it starts January 19th. That is Wednesday evening. The first show is at 7 o'clock, I believe. And that is with Tim Harmstrom and Mary Mack. That's opening up the festival.
All right. What are opening ceremonies like?
We don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
They've always just kind of been like before.
Because I saw that it said opening ceremonies. I thought, oh, wonder what opening ceremonies are like.
Well, we'll find out.
That we shall.
That, I believe, is at 6:30, as I recall.
Yes. Yeah, I do remember seeing that.
So yeah, the opening ceremony is at 6:45.
6:45.
And the show
They're short ceremonies.
I don't think that's right. It says 8, but I don't think that's right.
No, I don't think so either.
We got to update the website.
All right. So we'll update the website. You've got time. It's coming up next week. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Yeah.
Let's see. You're going to be at the Bosses. You're also going to be having some things at Icon. Also out at Remedy. And then also out at Spellbound Magic.
Yeah. Whew. Spellbound Magic's a free show, so if you kind of dip into it, you can. That's an open mic, but we do suggest a goodwill donation. The other events are ticketed, so but like I said, all the net proceeds go to the Special Olympics of South Dakota.
Fantastic. All right, fellas, appreciate it. Yes.
When does this come out?
This comes out this Thursday.
Yeah. So in 2 days, you should go to the grand opening of Boss's Comedy Club at T, right?
Yes.
At the old T Steakhouse. There's a very funny comedian. I forget his name. He's going to be there. He's been doing comedy for like 12 years. He's been on the Dave Holly podcast hour 3 times. He very
bald?
He's a little
bald?
he's I'd say balding.
Okay.
But like wears it really, really well.
And if he weren't bald, would he maybe be like redhead?
Yeah, I mean he's definitely
Sunburn easily?
some sort of ginger for
Okay.
sure. And then I think Luke Johnson will be there. And you can come late. That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
for the best.
As well as Skylar Books. No, I'll be opening. I'll be headlining at the Tea Steakhouse. So if you want like I don't get to perform much at Sno-Jam, so this is kind of a kind of my weekend
Precursor to it.
Yeah, but if tickets are going soon, we're pretty close to sold out. So if you
Wow,
get tickets,
excellent.
you want to get them soon. So.
All right. So we look forward to that and Sno-Jam.
Yes.
Luke, how about yourself? You're performing in Sno-Jam?
Well, I'll be hosting the Vocabularies, of course. I will probably find a way to tell some jokes at some point during the weekend.
All right.
And then, of course, I will be opening for one Nathan Hults, who is headlining at Boss's Comedy Club in South Dakota, our new location, on Saturday, January 15th.
Excellent. Look forward to it. Fellas, thanks. Always appreciate seeing you guys.
Thank you, David.
And thank you for the fact that you brought laughter to this town.
Feel better, Dave.
I hope so.
I miss that golden voice. Right?
I do too.
It's still there. It's still the remnants of there, right? It's just a little
it's dependent
tarnished.
upon when the last water went down the gullet.
Sure.
So hopefully that'll be back in time for the festival.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because you do have an open mic.
We want to hear we want to hear your big laugh.
Oh,
at all
it'll
the
be
shows.
there. It'll be
Marvelous.
there. All right. Thanks again, and we'll be back to wrap up the Dave Holly Hour in just a moment.
Ladies, when it's time to give your nails some love, get that extra special treatment from Quality Nails on South Minnesota Avenue in Sioux Falls. Manicures and pedicures that look great and make you feel fantastic. Zaya and Tony provide professional care for your hands and feet, whether you just want the basics or an extra special look with added flair. Oh, and guys, it's okay to treat yourself too. Quality Nails. Call for an appointment. 605-334-1463.
From the Dipsy Doodle Studios at the world headquarters of Big D Entertainment, a 40-square-foot home studio in the middle of America, it's Dave Holly.
Thanks again to my great guest, Toby Kane, as well as Brian Masek, talking about their album, Ghost. I was about to say something at a ghost. Ghost and a Guess. I guess I could have gotten that wrong. Also, thanks to Nate Hults and Luke Johnson for telling us about all the stuff coming up on Sno-Jam. Thank you, as always, to Ricardo at Our Wine Bar for hosting our conversations. Thank you, you social media monsters and podcast followers, for all that you do, the shares and likes. Everything is so important. It helps me. Doesn't help out financially because you have to have a bajillion things to go right for you to actually make some money in podcasting. But we have fun here every week, don't we? Next week, Megan Raposa. She is from Sioux Falls Simplified. I've told you about that in the past. It comes out on Wednesday mornings, but you have to subscribe to it and get it via email. It is wonderful. It takes all the nuts and bolts about Sioux Falls and the surrounding area, and boom, it gets it down to what you need to know and how it's going to affect you. Also next week, from Mighty Corson Arts Players, Brian Schipper, Nathan Sparks, and Ryan Howe will be with us to talk about a couple of one-man shows that they're doing as a special later on this month. So that's what you have to look forward to. In the meantime, I hope you have some time to get out and enjoy arts and entertainment here in our big city of 200K plus. All right, remember, my name is Dave Holly, and for me, every day is a holiday.
The Dave Holly Hour has been brought to you by the Sky Lounge and Tea, XL Chiropractic, Quality Nails, Ale Hop Brewery Tours, and Jesse Moppet Entertainment. If you would like to contribute to the continued success of this podcast, go to DaveHollyHour.com. At the bottom of the front page is the additional links section. Click on the orange button, Dave Holly on Linktree. You can order merchandise, become a Dave Holly Hour VIP, and make contributions to the show. The Dave Holly Hour is produced in the Dipsy Doodle Studios by Big D Entertainment.
Thanks for listening.